Hello everybody, Jazzy here, and welcome to my very first base tour of Thrill of the Grill, which is, if you're watching the recast, my solo Warley World over on Twitch. I had not done a proper base tour around 1,000 days, so I am hoping to remedy that, and as I move forward in this world, there's going to be more base tours because I'm going to do fewer recap videos, so I'll probably give you an update of the world like every 500 days or so. But without further ado, here is my day 2000 base. And I can show you on the map first of all. Most of what I built so far is in the Oasis, but I'm also starting to build over around the Moonstone. So I look forward to showing you all those things today. Starting off, this is my hound trap. 9 Houndius, surrounded by a number of different statues. And in this scaled chest down here, I do hold on to drumsticks, morsels, and monster meat that I get from hound waves. When the vultures hop down, when the meat starts dropping, they growl at me, and then the houndius take them out. So I end up getting a lot of morsels and drumsticks, as well as monster meat, which I could use for meaty stews. This row of lure plants outside the Oasis is just to ensure that if I do get a wildfire event when I'm outside of the Oasis, because this is technically not the Oasis right here, that the lure plants will smolder before any of my builds start to smolder. This is my bush farm. I use juicy berry bushes mainly for glowberry mousse, and stone fruit, I've just been trying to get more sprouting stone fruits so that I can decorate with them. I like planting sprouts instead of transplanted stone fruits because they do not require fertilization. But I've also been using this to farm rocks. This is one of my newer farms. It's not populated right now, but it is a gunpowder marble farm. I basically plant a ring of 8 marble shrubs, stick a piece of gunpowder in the middle, blow it up with a fire staff when it finishes growing. And yeah, this has been my new favorite use for gunpowder. Very fast. Here's my crop showroom. There are 14 giant crops in the game. You can put them on a scale and they will last forever. This is also where I keep my seeds and extra crops. Nothing super organized right now. And down here is my beefalo pen. By the way, this is Wellington, the beefalo. An ornery beefalo. He's a very good boy. Tamed him around day 1800, and I have not regretted it. He is one of the most... Come on, pet! Damn you! Oh, yeah. Tiny build I had to make with 3 random pieces of tile. I like focusing on small builds like this. It lets you kind of hone your aesthetic, figure out what it is you like in builds, whatnot. My 2 lure plant boats right here. I actually can't harvest them during summer because that'll be outside of the Oasis. Here is my Bunnyman fire farm. I have not been using it that much since Reap What You Sow update, but basically you aggro them into this little lane, you close the door, you start a fire with the grass tufts, and then after a minute you put out the fire. But yeah, I still got to use this farm to farm bunny puffs, but I don't use them for meat and carrots all that much. This is a catcoon, presumably butter farm. It's turning into a moleworm farm, as you can see from all the moleworms that this catcoon is spitting out. I might have gotten 2 pieces of butter from this catcoon in the last 1,000 days I've had this pen live, so I don't know that it's that great of a butter farm, but definitely got plenty of moleworms out of it. Okay, this is the one build that I actually designed in advance. Oh, Jesus, frogs. Yeah, beefalo are still my go-to method for dealing with frog rain. I probably should have a beefalo hat over here, though. The nice thing about frog rain is you can always just unload an area and all the frogs will despawn. So if these frogs really started threatening the herd, and it looked like the herd was going to get wiped out, I would just run away. But yeah, I think this might actually be 2 herds. So the frogs have never really threatened the beefalo. Oh, hey, I just learned something new. If you're on a beefalo and heat won't attack you. Well, that's convenient. Well, that totally wasn't the longest frog rain in history. Okay, while we're over here, this is my little sinkhole build. This is the sinkhole that I used to get down to the caves. It is closest to the deciduous biome, and here it is. Usually these bunnies are out. I don't know what... Oh, it's still daytime. Yep, 2 rabbit hutches, take care of the bats. And these are all carrots. So I took regular carrots and I used steep lunar essence on them just to get carrots planted exactly where I wanted them to. But yeah. Okay, back to this build. I wanted to design a set which incorporated a storage area around the kitchen because Warley does a lot of cooking. I wanted to make sure that, you know, he'd have access to items that was always super close to his kitchen and that the kitchen would always be super convenient to access. So around the corners of the chests, we got our crafting stations, a couple scale chests. I would not recommend storing turf in chests because it's really hard to see during the sandstorm. It's hard to tell which turfs are which. These regular crock pots I put down just in case I wanted to make something such as monster lasagna for getting a critter, or, you know, the surf and turf recipe that calls for 2 monster meat because monster tartar has a higher priority than surf and turf. So if I wanted to use 2 monster meat for surf and turf, I would cook it in these regular crock pots. But that said, I don't use them all that much, so I'm probably eventually going to just replace them with portable crock pots. This is my forest stalker farm. It's very simple. You just put a heart in him at night and hold onto a thurible. He doesn't go anywhere. And I use this to farm lesser glowberries for glowberry mousse and foliage for crafting slimy turf. Over here is my spider bunnyman farm. I don't have a den planted right now because having a den planted inside is just going to continually produce items on the ground, which I have to clean up. So if I don't need silk, I will just keep the area, I'll just keep the farm clear. This is Molly and Millie the moleworm's home. It's Molly right under there. I forget where I found her. I might have found her down in the caves, but she's the first moleworm that we gave their own space inside the oasis. Here's some festive tree zones. Yeah, the formative years of Thrill the Grow was in Winter's Feast, so we got a lot of ornaments. We got to decorate a lot of Christmas trees. Up here, actually, this is my fish storage area right here, and I've been slowly putting them into these little areas. And I wanted to show you this area at night, just to show you the kind of dockside light vibe that I was going for right here. And there's another build like this on the other side. Let me show you. This is the lane leading up to the bee park, which I will show you tomorrow. But first, I'm gonna eat a little bit. And this is how I generally eat as Warley. I'll wait until I'm basically starving. I'll have a giant meal, and then I'll save a little bit of food so that I don't have to bundle it up, so that I don't have to open the bundle again as early. So I'm gonna do something like that. Ooh, we are getting a hound wave, so I get to show you the hound trap in action. Let's see if I can get out of my base on time. Yeah, the biggest danger for building deep into the oasis was being able to escape the build before hounds entered the base. And this hound trap is technically outside of the oasis, so I just have to be mindful. Check it out, some vultures are going to pop down pretty soon. That vulture's guarding the monster meat, immediately dies. So yeah, you just end up getting a lot of monster meat, a lot of drumsticks every time you get a hound wave. It's pretty convenient. Okay, time to go get some cooling. Hoping to finish up this tour before the oasis dries up and we get our sandstorm. But yeah, here's the fish display room. And on the other side, it's basically the same thing. I had to vary it a little bit just because we didn't have quite the same configuration of turf to work with. But here's how it looks. We got to fill these up with more variety of fish. Now, here is the bee park. And I'll give you the overview. This build is definitely one of the larger single builds I've ever done. And it forced me to stretch out a little bit with how I place structures down. I tend towards really saturating builds with structures and items, but with this build, because we had so much space to work with, you know, it got me to thinking more about, you know, repeating patterns of structures and items. and really using the space in a way that still shows off the turf. This is all slimy turf, by the way, all made by the forest stalker. None of it dug up in the caves. But yeah, I'm very proud of this build. This is the Oasis, built in the Winter's Feast theme. Some planters. These are tables with different meals on it. I do a decent amount of fishing on here. Since the March Quality of Life update, you can actually turn on Winter's Feast whenever you want, so I'm saving up these crumpled packages for the next time I turn on Winter's Feast, and then I'll open them all up and hope for some festive lights. This is a little Bunnyman zone. Nothing too fancy. This is where I farm a few loot trees. This is my auto gecko pen. I'm sorry, Volt Gold pen. And over here, look closely. See those horns sticking out? There's a safety goat right there. Hiding behind some birch nut trees. Oh man, best time to give a base tour. Alright, this zone I just wanted to make a little secluded beach area with astral detectors, lawn chairs, and umbrellas. I like working with some of the irregular corners that you end up getting with biomes, because it forces you to kind of think a little more asymmetrically. I built this zone around the Year of the Beefalo event. Did a couple pageants here. That was pretty cool. But I haven't used it since because the Beefalo tended to create their own herds, and then I ended up with 3 herds in the middle of my base, which was not a great thing, especially right next to my gecko pen. Chester keeps these geckos agitated most of the time, and it keeps them producing grass. Now, the location of this is kind of regrettable. I would have put it in an area that I would have had loaded up a little more often were I to do this again. But it's fine. Still working on these zones over here. These are actually probably the last 2 or 3 zones that I have to build in the Oasis. Then the Oasis will be completely built. There's Antlion. A couple of random set pieces. Here's where I farm most of my twigs. You'll see a lot of koalaphants around here. I went on a lot of hunts for vargs, and I will show you why momentarily. Here is my portal to the lunar island. Right here. I got 2-way telelocating capabilities, so I just come here, telelocate, do my stuff to the lunar island, then come back over. Here is my pig farm. Just 16 pig houses, nothing too fancy. And it has supplied me at full moons with most of the large meat that I need for Warley. As Warley, I eat mainly meaty stews, honey ham, and moqueca. And between the hound waves, the drumsticks, the monster meat, and the large meat from pigs, and the leafy meat from my lure plants, I usually have much more meat than I will ever actually need. I'm not going to show you my seaweed setup, but I'll show you on the map. It's a pretty basic setup. What I've been doing is collecting seaweed starters and just planting them around this array of sea stacks close to Pearl's Island. I actually have a few more to plant, but I've been using these guys for harvesting barnacles, which I use to cook moqueca. It's the only thing I really use it for. I hope that at some point they add the capability to create new sea stacks, because it would be really convenient to have seaweeds a little bit closer to the shore. For those of us who like to use barnacles, as of right now, it's kind of out of the way to go farm barnacles. If I wasn't playing as Warley, I probably wouldn't bother with them. These light bugs you see floating around my base are bulbous light bugs. You can get them in the lunar grotto. You just bring a net down there, catch a few of them, bring them up. They're easy to kill, but they don't die on their own, so it's nice having a little ambient light around your base. This is the only farm that I've ever had in my base, and it's the only farm I've ever really needed. Even for Warley, I get all of the crops that I need from just these 4 farm plots. Okay, that's pretty much it for the Oasis base. I want to show you a couple of things that I've got built over in the Dragonfly Desert, and this might be the last day to show you because it is the last day of before we get wildfires. By the way, this is a backup of the world that I'm playing on. This is not actually Thrill the Grill. This is I just took the backup, brought it over to a dedicated server on my computer, just to keep continuity with the series. These are gecko pens. I've got 3 herds in here, and I still need to fill out the last one. Yeah. Eventually, I want to put some houndius in the center so that I can use this to farm electric milk if I ever want to. This patch of farm plot right here, I used to use to summon Lord of the Fruit Flies, but I have not seen Lord of the Fruit Flies in quite some time, so it's possible that she may have spawned elsewhere. Anyways, let's go over to the Moonstone. I should also mention that all of this cobble road you see, it was from Rocky Turf in this world and the caves. Mostly got from the caves. I do use a loot world, which I'll swap out occasionally with the cave system, and I use that to get extra berry bushes and extra honeycomb from beehives. Okay, we are now entering the Moonstone zone. Here's another beefalo pen right here. I'll keep Wellington here while I'm building. This is a Varg farm, inspired by Gabriel's Varg pen design. 4 beautiful Bargs, which will give me about this much moon rock every full moon if I so choose. This is a 5% star color stuff. What I'll do is I'll put it in the Moonstone about 1.5 segments before the end of night, and doing it that way lets you save the star staff and still complete the Moonstone event. So it turns all the hounds into Moonrock, and it maximizes the amount of summons that each of the Vargs can bring. These zones down here I still have to work on. My idea for the side was to fill with weeds and a few random plants. I just let them rot, but mainly wanted to do weeds in these zones. And you'll see I got the same thing over on the other side. These extra stone walls you see around, I initially placed them just to prevent regrowth, so that I could keep area clear until I can build something in there. Yeah, this is a work in progress zone. This is a work in progress zone. And this is actually a natural, totally normal tree. This will be a future gecko pen as soon as we can spawn some geckos over here, just so we can have some grass getting produced while I'm building more in this area. Yeah, once you burn down most of this forest, I just stuck down stone walls to prevent regrowth. This is another sinkhole zone. 2 bunny men. That's actually one of mine. I was converting Celsius to Fahrenheit when the bats murdered me. Haven't done much building in the caves, but I've probably cleared the ruins, I want to say 10 or 11 times, something like that. It's so funny, with all this cobblestone around, ever since taming a beefalo, the cobble's become mostly decorative because it doesn't affect the beefalo speed, and I've been using the beefalo to get around pretty much everywhere. Yeah, there's actually not much else to show for this world at the moment. As you can see, I still have a lot of work in progress builds going on, but yeah, hopefully this gives you a good overview of what we've built thus far, and I'm gonna try and figure out how to post a world download, so if you want to drop this into, you know, your personal dedicated server, you can check out the builds close up and, you know, tinker with them as you see fit. But yeah, that's it for the base tour for now. Hope you enjoyed all the recaps for the last 2,000 days. I look forward to catching you again around day 2500 with all the new builds that we come up with. So hope to see you then, but thank you for sticking around for the recaps. Thanks for hanging with me over on Twitch, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.